outside? Should I run and hide? How do I take my company worldwide? Do you love the law? Did you watch Hee-Haw? What's the weirdest thing that you ever saw? What's it like in court? Favorite sport? Can you help with my book report? Is my hair too long? Am I right or wrong? And do you mind if I sing along to anything? Ask Alan anything in the world.
All right. Well, very good. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Ask Alan, the podcast. I'm Alan Crone, Chief Executive Officer of the Crone Law Firm. And today we have a very special guest, Lori Bramlett, who's the Executive Director of the DeNewville Center here in Memphis and the DeNewville Learning Center, which does a lot of really great and important work. And they're located on Cooper Avenue near Union Avenue. Did I get all that right?
You did, yes. Great job.
And Lori, I really appreciate you joining the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us, Alan. We really appreciate any opportunity we can to share the mission of DeNewville Learning Center. It's so important to our community and to the women and children that we serve. So thank you very much for all that you've done to support us over the years, but again, for allowing us the opportunity today to share our mission.
Well, it's my pleasure. And for full disclosure to our listening audience, I will tell you that I was on the board of DeNewville for 3 years and know about what they do. And I'm really, it's one of those unsung heroes of Memphis. The DeNewville owned or operated by the Sisters of the Good Shepherd, and they've been operating in Memphis for a long time. And Lori and her group is continuing that service. And so I'm excited to tell people about it.
Well, thank you. And yes, of course, we miss you being on the board, and you're always welcome anytime you have the availability, but I know you're so busy. But thank you again for all that you've done over the years to continue supporting our mission. As you said, we were founded by the Sisters of the Good Shepherd, and we are just so proud to continue the amazing work that they started many years ago in Memphis. And we're just wanting to really do the best we can with that legacy and continue the great works that they started so many years ago. And our volunteers and our staff are the ones leading that effort every single day.
All right. Why don't we start a little bit talking about the sisters, who they were, how they came to Memphis, and then kind of what your modern day mission is with the Learning Center.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Sisters of the Good Shepherd, founded by St. Mary Euphrasia, they came over to Memphis from Angers, France in 1875. And actually they came over during a time in Memphis when we were also going through a pandemic, the yellow fever pandemic. So it's an interesting history that we've kind of come full circle now back to, once again, unfortunately dealing with a pandemic in our community. But that is what brought the sisters here in the first place, was to help combat the yellow fever epidemic. And once we were able to, as a city, sort of get past that immediate crises, the sisters then began their mission, which is always what the Sisters of the Good Shepherd have fundamentally been about, and that is to provide services for women and children in need. And so it started out as DeNewville Heights School for Girls, and we were a residential school for girls who at the time had no other options and just needed a place to go to finish high school, basically, and get other support services. In 1995, we transitioned into what we have become now, which is the Adult Learning Center. And that really was because of the realization that a lot of adult women fall through the cracks. Once they age out of the system, if you will, there aren't a whole lot of opportunities. And it's very vital for families and communities, for women in particular, to have support. And education is the foundation of that. So that's really how we became DeNewville Learning Center. And we opened our doors, as we are now, in 1997 with a mission to empower women to improve their lives through education and community. And so here we are now in 2020, continuing that same mission. And we provide high school equivalency, English as a second language, citizenship test preparation, computer classes, skills-based classes such as sewing, flower arranging, different things like that. But probably the most important thing that we're able to do is provide childcare. That's the most common barrier for adult women who are trying to improve their lives through education. And then we also have a lot of other support components of our program. We have a clothing closet. We assist with emergency needs and food. We have a great partnership with different healthcare providers that we're able to help our women and their children as needed with healthcare and eye care. So we really try to do everything we can to be a holistic support agency for our women, with the focus always being on education.
Great. Now, how long have you been the executive director?
Since the beginning, January 2nd, 2013. So coming up on 8 years.
That's hard to believe, Lori.
Isn't it? It's crazy.
It is hard to believe. I was honored to be part of the board that hired Lori, and Lori had big shoes to fill. She was replacing one of the sisters, Sister Lakshmi, who many people watch this podcast, I'm sure know. And it was a kind of for the board, it was really kind of a scary, uncertain time, because we were going from an organization that had been led by professed sisters to one being led by a lay person. Yeah. And Lori, you've done and I'm not just saying that, you've done a fabulous job bridging that gap. What kind of, looking back on it, how were you able to do that, do you think?
Well, I tell people this, and I mean it sincerely. I think it was truly a leap of faith for all of us. I had no idea what I was doing or what I was stepping into. And I think the board felt the same way. And we all just had faith in each other that we were there for the right reason. And I will say, the moment I walked into the facility, when I walked in to the front door the first time, I just felt at home. And I knew that I was brought there for a reason. And so really, that the people, our staff, our board members, our volunteers, it was everyone else who enabled me and allowed me to do what needed to be done, because my job was really just to be there to support everyone else and to make sure that all the dots were being connected. So really, the reason that I was able to succeed in that transition was because of everyone else, and the fact that we all just really worked together and had faith and support in one another.
Now, I know you came to Danuville/Memphis from Arkansas, which is where you grew up, correct?
This is correct. Yes, I'm from Little Rock, and I moved here by way of Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville.
And did you go to the university?
I did. I went to the University of Arkansas. Go Hogs.
Go Hogs. They had a great game on Saturday. Right.
We're having a really good season, all things considered.
Absolutely. As you know, my son graduated from University of Arkansas, and he and I were watching. I was watching the Tiger game, and he had the Razorback game on two different televisions, and we would turn the volume on depending upon the circumstance.
Right.
But it's great to see University of Arkansas do well again. It's been a while.
It has been, yes, it's been a while. And I think the entire state of Arkansas is collectively sighing, relief right now because of having a good season. So it was a good weekend for us, though, with the Tigers and the Razorbacks.
That's right. Well, what inspired you to get into not-for-profit public service?
Well, it's all I've ever done. So when I was in college, I knew that I wanted to do something to help people. That was really my ultimate goal, was to make sure that every day I was able to feel like I was making as much of a positive impact as possible. And so I sort of just happened into it. My first job was with the Union Ave in Little Rock. And then I realized that I could, have a career in nonprofit. So I went back and got my master's degree and just stuck with it. But I've been doing it for over 20 years now. So nonprofit administration is really all I know, and I love it. I feel like it was the best fit for my personality and my passion.
Was there a particular influence in your life that a role model or mentor or someone that attracted you to that kind of work?
Well, personally, I would say it was my grandmother. She was always very philanthropic, and I just remember being a child, and she would, you know, give give people money on the streets, and just always doing her part to help her community and contributing to her church. And it just always inspired me to want to make her proud. And then when I started working, I had a mentor. My first boss had a master's degree, and she had done nonprofit work all her life, and it just sort of opened my eyes to something that I didn't even know existed in terms of being able to lead nonprofit organizations. So I would say I had a lot of really great influences in my life, really strong female role models that taught me morals, but also the importance of really thinking about it from a business-minded approach, because it is a business, it's nonprofit, but it is still business, and we have to treat it as such.
Sure. Now, when you were making this transition to come to Memphis, particularly, what was it about Deneuve? You already mentioned that you felt very comfortable in the facility, but what was it about Deneuve's mission where you said, this is something this is a challenge I want, and not just any challenge, but a challenge that had on top of it the transition that we talked about?
I would say two things there. The mission, specifically education for women. I come from a family, very hardworking, blue collar origins, but we're also very female dominated, and there was also a strong emphasis placed on education and the importance of that. So the mission just spoke to me off the bat. But then I will also say that the people of Deneuve, the sisters, also our board and our key stakeholders. This mission is very important and of heart to people who are connected to Deneuve, and you feel that instantly. And I wanted to be a part of that. I feel like we are, like you said earlier in the introduction, we're very grassroots. We're not well known, but the people that do know us love the mission, and you feel it when you interact with our people, our Deneuve family. And that really was something that I needed at that point in my career, and it just felt so genuine, and I wanted to be a part of that feeling.
Now, the Sisters of the Good Shepherd are an international religious order, correct?
Correct, that's correct.
So how does that dynamic affect your day-to-day being part of a international mission?
Well, it's actually really pretty phenomenal, because we get to focus. Our Deneuve Learning Center is an independent 501c3, so we are completely independent in that we serve Memphis, and we have our own board, and all of our funding is local. However, we are connected to the bigger Good Shepherd Sisters globally, and we have, through that connection, we have 83 countries, organizations in 83 different countries that we are affiliated with. And I think the sisters have done a really great job of keeping us connected. We have annual gatherings. We have, every 3 years or so, we do pilgrimages. Not all of us get to do that every year, but there are pilgrimages to the Mother House in Angers, and they really do a great job of connecting all of us so that we do feel part of the bigger picture mission, while still being able to focus on our local community mission. So I applaud the sisters. They have done a fantastic job of keeping us all connected, while making sure that the focus is local when it comes to programming. Each program is different. So we do adult learning here in Memphis, but in Michigan and Detroit, they have residential services for children, and in Philadelphia, they have school-based programs. In different countries, it's based off of what that urgent need is, and I think that is it speaks to the sisters and their strategic thought, and really trying to make a difference in the world by addressing issues and problems at the local level, and really focusing on what they need to do in each community, and not just trying to go in with one program to fit everything. So that, I think, is a unique model that they have created and that they are continuing to support.
So locally, tell me the different types of programs that Deneuve offers for women.
So we do have the high school equivalency program, and our ESL, which is English as a second language, and our citizenship test preparation. Those are kind of our three biggest programs. And we do serve women from all over the world. We have had women from 32 different countries that we've served here, right here in Memphis, Tennessee, at our facility. But we also serve women who are born and raised here in Memphis. So that's kind of a really fun and unique aspect of our program. And we serve women of all different socioeconomic demographics. We have women of all different faith backgrounds. So it's really, I love the multicultural dynamic of it, and the fact that you'll see women from different communities and cultures come together and recognize their shared similarities. And that's always been one of my favorite things about what we do, is the community that our students build among themselves.
One of my favorite events always was the potluck dinner.
Yes.
People would bring their native dishes, and as someone who has a love-hate relationship with food myself, I love it more than I hate it. I think probably a little too much, but those are always great events.
Absolutely, yeah, those are so much fun. I agree with you. That's one of my favorite things that we get to do every year, is celebrating the internationality. And then my other favorite thing that we get to do is our graduation ceremonies. That we have, caps and gowns. We do the full-on ceremony for our ladies, because it is a significant milestone when they get their high school diploma, and it should be celebrated as such. And we allow them to invite their friends and children, and it really is. I've seen, the kids coming with flowers to give to their mom and crying. And we had one, actually this was a couple of years ago, we were doing the ceremony at the University of Memphis, and one of our graduates, her two daughters, were graduating from the University of Memphis. And so we were able to get a great picture of the three of them all in their caps and gowns. And it was just so significant to think about how that must have felt for that mother to be able to be there and share in that experience with her daughters. So I love our graduation ceremony. It always reminds me of why we do what we do, and it makes me really proud of our teachers and our supporters, because of the difference that they are really making in the lives of these families.
When I was on the board, I went to a number of those graduations, and it always struck me that not everyone, but many of them were celebrating this tremendous accomplishment. And it was great because they were women that probably, when you get right down to it, had accomplished an awful lot in their lives. They raised children. They held down several jobs. A lot of them were successful in those jobs, but it wasn't the kind of accomplishment that people celebrated.
Right.
And to get celebrated for an accomplishment like that, I think has got to be so affirming and give some of those folks self-confidence that maybe they didn't have before. And you could kind of see them carry themselves a little bit different after that event.
Absolutely. And that is a large part of what our program is about, is this is a stepping stool. We don't ever want our ladies to think this is where they should end their journey. So we want to help give them that motivation and that encouragement that they may not have had the opportunity for. One of the things I always tell people about is most of us take graduation for granted. That's not even something, I can say I'd ever even thought about before. I just knew I was going to participate in a graduation ceremony. And so one of the first times it hit me was we had a student we have pictures in our hallway of different graduation ceremonies. And one of the ladies stopped me and she said, "Miss Lori, am I going to get to graduate?" And I said, "Yes, of course. And as soon as you pass that test, you're going to get your diploma, you'll get a cap and gown, we're going to have a ceremony." And she got tears in her eyes, and she just said, "I never thought I was going to get to have this experience." And it struck me just because that had never occurred to me before. And again, it's one of those things that we just take for granted. And so it really is very impactful for the ladies and their families and their children to see that. And then they want to do it as well. They want to be up there on stage too. That's one of the reasons why we do what we do, is that children of women who have improved their education are far more likely to graduate from high school and go on to college. So there's a significant correlation between a mother's education and her children's educational success.
What, in the last 8 years, what are the changes you've seen in the operation, and what do you think is your biggest accomplishment, speaking of accomplishments, since you've been the executive director?
For me, I would say my biggest accomplishment is that we have been able to retain the majority of our staff and volunteers. When you have a transition, especially one that's as significant as what we undertook, going from the sisters leadership to lay leadership, a lot of times you'll see massive turnover. And thankfully that was not the case. So that really helped with continuity of our program. We have also increased some of the offerings that we're able to provide. And with the unexpected changes, if you will, of 2020 and having to transition to online learning, the long-term reality of that is really going to be to our advantage, because we will be able to reach women. We will be, at some point when it becomes safe to do so, we'll be going to a hybrid model where we'll be offering some in-person classes as well as some distance learning opportunities. So that was something we weren't doing before, and we will be able to reach additional women and serve women and families that we might not otherwise have been able to reach. So I'm really excited, although it has been a challenge. I am really excited about where we will be able to go in the future with some of the changes we've had to just unexpectedly adapt to and incur to our program. So that's one of the things I am really excited about, is that we will now be able to offer, I think, a better program and more opportunities for women moving forward than we have been able to in the past.
That's kind of a silver lining that's come out of the pandemic. A lot of people are innovating and doing things that they wouldn't have done, that they're probably going to continue to do to be better.
I agree. And, that is exactly what we've been trying to focus on, is the COVID silver linings. And we just had our golf tournament a few weeks ago, and it was actually one of our most successful tournaments that we've had, even with, following the COVID guidelines. But we had to incorporate some new, online, more techie type components of that event. And it really worked out beautifully. So again, silver linings, things we'll be able to take and improve and make even better as we go forward, that we might not have, done if we hadn't been forced to. So that was a really great learning lesson for us, going through that process and figuring out how we were going to do it. And the same with our classes. It's been a challenge moving to online when you don't really have the infrastructure for that, but we are figuring it out, and we are continuing to adapt and build that infrastructure that we need. We're working on a new website that we'll be launching soon, that will be more interactive, that will help us with some of the distance learning and being able to serve women remotely. So I'm really excited. We've got some highlights and some very positive momentum moving forward into next year. So we've just got to, finish out this year. We've got a little bit more fundraising to do and a little bit more glitches to figure out, but I am excited about the direction we're headed.
You're in a unique kind of vantage point, particularly for women in Memphis. What, COVID aside, what do you think are the biggest challenges that women of the nature that you that you work with, folks that need a GED or need English as a second language? What are the biggest obstacles they have to success?
Um, in a nutshell, I would say accessibility, whether it's the accessibility to get there in person, transportation issues, whether it's time because they've got children, um, trying to have a job, trying to take care of the household, and especially now with COVID and having to, in most cases, have their children at home, distance learning as well. That really just creates more obstacles that they continue to put themselves on the back burner and lower on the totem pole because they have so many other priorities. So really, from my perspective and from what I've seen, it's accessibility. So the more we're able to reach them in ways and at times that they can participate, I think that's really going to help move the needle for some of these women that really want to improve their education, get a diploma, learn English, or improve their English. Most of the women that we see, that we serve, are trying to do this for their children. They want to help their children with their homework. They want to be able to communicate with their children's teachers in the school system, or they want to be good role models for their children. So really, at the end of the day, what we are doing every day and what the women that we serve are doing every day is trying to improve the opportunities and circumstances for their children. And so the more we're able to help them do that, the more we can figure out workarounds for those obstacles, the more we're going to be able to decrease poverty. 70% of families living in poverty are headed by single mothers. So the more we're able to help these single mothers, the better able we will be to combat the problems of poverty.
I know that you do a lot of work, but you can't do it alone. Who are some of the community partners that you work with to accomplish your goals?
We have a really strong network of community partners, and I would say that's one of my favorite things about Memphis is that this community is very good about being there for each other and supporting each other, and I see that every day. So you never, want to gloss over that fact, because we would not be able to do what we do without our community. Some of our strongest partners are some of the local colleges, the University of Memphis and Christian Brothers University in particular help us out with volunteers, with interns, with leadership. We have board members. They host in different capacities, our graduation ceremonies and other events that we do, which is just phenomenal. We have the nursing students that come over and do health checks for our ladies. We also partner with other nonprofits in the area for referrals. That's one of the biggest challenges for families that are trying to seek services, is that it can be really challenging. There are a lot of loopholes, and you have to fill out the paperwork for this agency and this agency. And so the Memphis nonprofit community is really trying to work together to alleviate some of those burdens and have more of an internal referral system. So that's been a really great thing to be a part of with the United Way and Christ Community Health Center and just some of the other agencies in town that are serving many of the same families that we serve. So I mean, the list goes on and on. Really, we have a tremendous partnership with the local community. International Paper is a big sponsor of ours. Huey's is one of our local businesses that just does phenomenal support for the center and always has. So I know I'm leaving out so many, but we really are blessed to have a great support system with our community.
How, if somebody's listening to this and saying, man, that really sounds like something I'd like to get involved in, what kind of volunteer opportunities do you have at this learning center?
Well, we really have something for everyone. If someone is looking to have leadership opportunities, whether it's on the board or maybe with one of our event committees, there are always opportunities for that. We're able to now, right at this point is a little challenging, but under normal circumstances, we're able to do group projects where we can have team building with different groups to come in and help us out, whether it's cleaning up the parking lot, or maybe painting one of the rooms, or doing projects with the kids. We had a group that came in last year for Halloween and decorated pumpkins and did some different activities with the kids. We have a group that collects children's coats for us every year. The Knights of Columbus do that. So there are all kinds of different ways that people can get involved. If you just want a one-day opportunity, you can come and help with an event. We also have tutoring opportunities. Our students also need help with tutoring, whether it's English tutoring or high school equivalency, and that's science, language arts, math, and social studies. So if you have an affinity for any of those subjects in particular, we're always needing tutoring support as well.
Right, and we've got your the telephone number for people to call, so that just to call the main office number. Is that a good number?
That is a good number, and if we're not there, please leave a message, and we will definitely follow up with you. We also have our website. We're on social media. We will be launching a new website very soon, so we'll be doing a big push with that. So stay tuned. I'm really excited about our new website that will be a little bit more user-friendly than what we have now. But if you want to get involved at all, please reach out, and we can definitely find a spot for you. We would love to have your support with helping us serve our women and families of Memphis.
I'd say there are lots of volunteer opportunities in Memphis that are great. One of the great aspects of the Deneuve Learning Center is the immediacy of the return on your time investment. At least that's what I felt, because you could see these ladies' progress, and you could see a beginning and a middle and an end. And I agree, when they walk across that stage and get that equivalency certificate, it means so much to them, and that you've helped to contribute to their life success going forward.
Absolutely, yes, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. And that was what I felt, that first day when I walked in, is being able to see the faces. And every single day when I go to work and I see the faces of our women, and the childcare room is right next to my office. So at any point that I need that reminder, I just pop my head in there, and it just never fails to be the energizer that I need to remind me of why we do what we do every day and why it's so important.
So what's next for Deneuve? Where do you see the next few years going?
So I think we've got a lot of really great opportunity and momentum. As mentioned, we're going to grow into the hybrid model, where we're able to offer both in-person and online options for our ladies. We are really looking to grow our childcare program as well, and really become more of a true two-generational education model, where we have more of a Head Start program curriculum for our childcare, and in addition to what we are always doing with our women in the adult education piece. So really, we just want to continue what we're doing, and just be able to reach more women and more children, and continue to be a beacon for the Memphis community.
Well, we certainly all wish you luck on that, and I'm hopeful that, like everybody, we'll come out of this pandemic bigger and better than ever, and just continue doing the great work that you're doing.
Alan, thank you so much. Really, we appreciate you. We appreciate the Crone Law Firm and allowing us this opportunity to share our mission. Anytime I am able to talk about Deneuve, you can hardly get me to shut up. So thank you so much. It means a lot to us to be able to make sure the community understands what we're doing, and that we're here, and that we do need support and help. But there's a reason why we're doing what we're doing, and it is very important. So thank you again for the time, and for all of your generous support over the years.
Well, you're more than welcome. And again, thank you for your time and coming on the show. It's been good. Thank you all for watching or listening. If you've enjoyed this, please share us and like us on social media, or forward the email, if you got an email, to your friends, anyone you think might benefit from this. Let's spread the word about it. And I'll see you next time on Ask Alan the podcast.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Alan.
much. Thank you, Lori.